Okay, in this video what we're going to do is we're going to walk through how to install Fedora 42. This installer, some people say that this is actually kind of difficult or intimidating, um, and I agree that this is actually probably one of the more complex or difficult type 1 distributions to install, and that's simply because of the installer itself. So it is a little difficult, but it's not difficult in technology. It's difficult because it's a non-linear installer. Usually what happens when you install an operating system, especially a Linux distribution, is you're met with a linear installer like Calamari. And basically what you do is it presents a question to you, you answer the question, you click next, and it moves to the next question. There's no ambiguity there. With this type of installer, this is called Anaconda, it doesn't do that, which causes confusion. It asks all the same questions, so it's not really difficult in the questioning. It's difficult in the fact that it's not linear. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to assume you know how to burn a USB and to boot off of it. If not, I've got plenty of other videos that show you how to do that, so we're going to skip it here. This is the first screen you come across when you boot up Fedora 42. So we will go ahead and get started from the screen here. All you got to do is click this big button right here in the middle where it says installed hard drive. Let me note something first before we continue. This has nothing to do with dual booting. I have dual booting videos already. This is just to cleanly install. If you follow these instructions, you are going to wipe out your Windows partition. Just be warned. It's not about dual booting. Alright, so we click the big button in the middle, and we just let the Anaconda installer start up when it decides to start up. There we go. Okay, so on here, it's looking already kind of normal as far as the questions goes. It's asking you what your language is. So you select your language. I'm in the United States, so I'm going to pick US English, and then I'm going to hit continue. And that's where the linear stops. That's the only button. You get to choose a question and click continue. So follow me. Let me run through this the first time, maybe the second time, and then you can try for yourself in a virtual machine or whatever, and we will go from there. You have 6 options. Before we start talking about the options, let me talk about the goal. The goal is to get this grayed out begin installation button to where you can click on it. Right now you can't click on it, okay? Because you have to answer some questions first, and that's not giving you the questions directly. That's why this is kind of convoluted. However, there's some hints on the screen. Anything that's got red lettering under it has a question that needs to be answered. These are the 3 that absolutely have to be answered. You want to get familiar with all 6 questions, but 3 are required. That's why the button's grayed out. So, keyboard English US, we're going to leave that alone. I'll click it so you can see what it looks like. When you're done with the section, you click done, and it takes you right back to this screen. So you go out to a question and you come back to the central menu. You go out to another question and you come back to the central menu. Time zone. We'll go ahead and change this to whatever yours is. Mine happens to be the Chicago or Central Time Zone. I am not in Chicago, but I am in the same time zone as Chicago. You can also configure your NTP server. If you don't know what it is, just leave it the way it is. It will automatically install a time server for you. Or you can choose to manually set your own date and time. Defaults are fine. Network. All right, so on here, this is where you set your host name. Like if you want your computer to be called Bob the Builder, you can put Bob the Builder in here, as long as it complies with the rules for host names, which is usually no spaces, lowercase, that kind of thing. So in here, we're just going to do Fedora. And you can actually put the whole thing in there, the domain name and everything. But we'll just do that, click apply, and I'll show you where that shows up if you're confused right this second. So just bear with me. I'm going to click done, go back to our central screen again. So as you can tell, it's not linear, but it's not hard. It's just asking you simple questions, and then you go back to the central area or hub and answer another question. Again, you're not done until all these red letters go away and that begin installation button lights up. Installation destination. Now you can do a custom configuration if you want. I'm not going to go through that in this video. I'm just going to basically choose the defaults. The purpose of this is to show you how to get Fedora installed itself, not necessarily how to lay out and configure your specific hard drive for your specific use case. All right, so I'm just going to choose automatic. The only disk I have already has a check mark on it. If you have more than one disk, they'll be labeled up here at the top, and you just click on it to choose which disks you want to use with Fedora. Any disks that you do not want to use with Fedora, make sure that check mark is not on there. So if you follow my dual booting video where you have Windows on one hard drive and you're going to put Linux on another completely different hard drive, this is where you would make sure your Windows drive is not selected, and make sure you select the drive you want to put Linux on. Then click Done. All right, it'll ask if you already have something on there, which I do. I already have Fedora on here, but we're going to erase Fedora and put Fedora on it again. I'm just going to go ahead and click Reclaim Space. It's going to list out all the partitions that are already on here. I'm just going to click Delete All because I'm just going to wipe it out and put Fedora right back on it. After this action says Delete in all columns, I'm going to click Reclaim Space. Notice the red lettering went away. We answered one of the required questions. Root account is disabled. User creation, no user will be created. Well, if we click on that, this is where we add our non-root user that is allowed to use sudo. And we can select whether we want him to use sudo or not here in just a second. All right. So we're going to put our name in here, Linux Tech Life, and our username, which is LTL. Add administrative privileges to this user, will group membership. This means that they are allowed to use sudo. Require a password to use this account. If you're the only person that lives in a house and you don't want to log in with a password, take a check mark out of that box. This is going to cover a typical install, so we will leave it there. We'll put in our trusty password. Notice there's a banner across the bottom that's going to tell you if there's a problem, whether the passwords don't match, whether it's not complex enough, or whatever. If it has a complaint, it's going to show up in that bar at the bottom. The complaint currently is the passwords don't match. They do now. It says it's a strong password. So I'm going to go ahead and click Done. Notice that the red went away. You can also notice that the root account went away too. That's because you have to have one or the other. You don't have to have both. I'm going to go ahead and click root account just to show you what it looks like. Disable root account is the default, and that's the best place to keep it. You can enable it if you need to. I'll click Done. Look, we met our goal. Begin installation button has turned into something we can click on. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I'm going to let this run. I'm going to pause the video here so you don't sit there and watch that progress bar go across. So I will be right back with you. Okay, once it's done, it's going to go ahead and end up on this screen here where it says it's complete, and you have the Finish Installation button down there. You can go ahead and click that, and what that's going to do is it's going to exit the installer. So one thing I did not say earlier, but you can do, is you can still use this as a live CD if you want to. You don't have to run the installer. If you don't, you can just click that skip button and it'll close the box like this right here. But after you're done installing and you're done tinkering and everything, just go ahead and restart. And I will go ahead and let this restart. I'm going to pause the button, or pause the video. Be right back. All right, so after it reboots, you get put right back here at the login screen. You put in your password. And this will drop you right back on your desktop with this window here. This is the Welcome Center like you see in a lot of other distributions. You can read through it, click Next or whatever, or you can just go ahead and skip it. And that's it. You have Fedora installed. The first thing I want to do, though, is we're going to learn how to do an upgrade on it real quick, or an update. Because that should be the first thing you always do, is after you get something installed, after you get a distribution installed, you want to be able to run updates on it. Apply, appearance. I'm just wanting to bump this scale up a bit. It's probably a little too big. There we go. All right. So once we get done with that, just like other distributions that use package managers, whether it's Arch, whether it's actually Gentoo now, they've got binary versions of that going on. But Debian, Ubuntu, all these have their own package managers. With Debian based, it's apt. With Red Hat based, it is DNF. So we're going to do a sudo DNF and then upgrade. Unlike with Debian, there is no contextual difference between update and upgrade. With Debian, update means you're refreshing the repositories. With upgrade, you're actually installing packages. Well, here it's going to do the exact same thing. Update or upgrade will run the exact same thing. It's going to refresh the repositories first and then install whatever packages it needs to. Put in our sudo password. There, it's updating the repositories automatically. All right, and now it's going to give you a list of packages that it's going to update. Unlike other distributions, it's going to show you what needs to be done first, which is all the stuff up here. So there's a lot that needs to be updated. It's going to show you the version you're coming from, or I'm sorry, the version going to, and there's the version you're coming from. It'll even tell you what it's doing. Anaconda is replacing Samba Common. After this little section, then it's going to get into installing new packages, like you're getting kernel 6.16 7-200. It's also going to replace some icons and that sort of thing. So it tells you what it's installing, what it's replacing, the versions, and actually where it's coming from. It tells you what repository it's doing and its relative size. And then you get a summary down here: installing 43 packages, upgrading 983, replacing 987. The total size of inbound packages is 2 gigs. Need to download 2 gigs, and after this operation, 389 megabytes is going to be used, more than you already are. So that includes installing the new packages, removing the old packages. You're going to end up using 389 more megabytes than you started with. Is this okay? Also, unlike Debian, this defaults to no, so you can't just hit enter here. With Debian, you run it, update update and then upgrade, and then as soon as it'll ask you that question, is this okay? But it defaults to yes. So if you just hit yes or you just hit enter, it assumes you're okay with it. Red Hat is the exact opposite. It assumes you're not okay with it. It's a little bit of an extra step. So we actually explicitly have to hit Y and then hit enter, and we'll let it install. It's just going to scroll through just like it is. It's downloading multiple files at once. That's what those 3 progress bars are down here. You see them here. It's downloading multiple files at once. So we'll go ahead and let it finish. It's got 1,026 tasks, and I will pause the video while it's doing that. All right, occasionally we'll run across the screen right here where it's trying to import a key. And it wants to know, is this okay? Again, it defaults to no, so we have to explicitly type yes, that we want you to go ahead and import that fingerprint. It'll say it's successful, and then it will eventually continue once it's ready to. And I'm going to pause the video while we're waiting. Okay, that was kind of short-lived. So now after it's downloaded all those packages, it's got 2,015 tasks where it's actually running the updates, running scripts and that kind of thing. Be right back. Okay, now that that's complete, what we're going to do here is we're just going to do a sudo reboot. And we'll let that reboot. I'm going to pause this while this happens. You know what a computer reboot looks like. Okay, and here we are back on the login screen, so we're just going to put in our password. And we'll let that go. If you like these videos, like to see more, make sure you click like and subscribe. What I'm going to do, this is a first video of a series on Fedora 42 where we go into depth, just like I did on my Debian 13. Debian 13 series covered an entire 10 videos talking about just one distribution. And we're going to do something similar here. Maybe it's 10 videos, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 15. I don't know. We'll just see how it plays out. But that's it. That's how you install Fedora 42, and you do your first update and reboot. You'll be welcomed with this screen right here where it says Plasma has been updated to 6.4. There is some important things to understand about Fedora, and that is it is not LTS. By LTS, I mean long-term support. It's not like Debian, where Debian 12, for example, it was shipped with kernel 6.1. That was more than 2 years ago. It's no longer the current version. Debian 13 is the current version. Debian 12 still has kernel 6.1 and has and always will have 6.1. That's because it's long-term support. When you get upgrades on an LTS, you're getting security updates or you're getting bug fixes, but you're not getting any new features. And that's where LTS draws the line. You're always going to have KDE 5 on that particular release. Unlike an LTS, Fedora will, in fact, upgrade the kernel for you. You can start on 6.13, and by the time you're done, you can end up on 6.17. You can start with Plasma 6.3, and now, after an update, you're on 6.4. You do get feature updates. You do get new features. You do get the bug fixes. You do get the security patches. You get it all on non-LTS operating systems. And that's the difference between an LTS distribution and a non-LTS distribution. Fedora is not an LTS distribution. Anyway, make sure you stay tuned. Like I said, click like and subscribe. Ring that notification bell. That way you know when the next video comes out. And I will see you in the next one.